What's going on? It's your boy DameSmiff, and I am out here this evening to help you guys understand and master modern lyricism. And it's going to be great for our young musicians, our young rappers, and especially our veteran rappers, because you'll kind of get a perspective that you may not have known. And so if you're interested in conversations like this, make sure you hit the like button, because that will let you expose this to all the other musicians out there that may need this information. And hit the subscribe button. That way you can catch my latest videos. So this evening's topic, 10 years of, I guess you could say, hustling just a ball for one summer. And so the idea really is a bit of a trope when it comes to, I guess you could say, capitalism in America. But specifically when it comes to musicians, there is a bit of a fast money kind of mindset when it comes to musicians. And the ones that usually shine for this are typically in American hip hop. Now, the only issue that I ever see with this is that the longevity of a hip hop artist when they reach their peak is extremely short, almost minuscule, right? And so the thing that many young musicians can't plan for is longevity. So we're going to try to kind of figure out why that is. And usually for some of the options, at least when it comes to hip hop, is that there's usually a crime element to it. But let's say you're not in the crime element. For you, it could be something as easy as like a distraction. Like maybe you're not as focused on your career as you could be. Maybe you are suffering from an addiction. Maybe there's some kind of like life thing going on. But the idea that you're going to be able to hustle your way through it, just a ball for one summer, is kind of counterintuitive for the longevity you claim to ask for, right? So I usually see this in musicians that want to do, extracurricular activity, as they would call it. It could be like scamming, it could be hustling illicit drugs and substances, it could be pimping, it could be all kinds of weird things that rappers and artists claim to delve into in order to make ends meet. But we're going to explore one of my becoming favorite rappers, and we're going to explore one of the songs that they've written. Now, the reason this is going to be a key poignant song for a lot of you artists, especially rappers, is because this isn't just another, song where we're just rapping about all the cool things in life. And it's not another song that we're just kind of shitting on people we don't like. It's really a moment to kind of like reflect. And it's a true artistic take on the topic. So whenever I explain what an artist is and what an artist does, it's always that they reflect reality. They don't try to shape it, and they don't really try to, make you feel a way about it. They just reflect it. And this was a really great example of it. And it comes from Payroll Giovanni's 10 Years, One Summer off of his album Big Boss in Volume 2. Now, the cool thing about this song as well is it's produced by Cardo Got Wings. And in my opinion, Cardo is probably up there with any other elite producer right now, just off of sheer volume. But Cardo has a niche about his productivity that is very musical. A lot of synthesizers, a lot of different sounds that are unique to the hand, like the sleight of hand that you have to have in order to play a lot of the music there. So big ups to Cardo. He's won a lot of awards recently. And so we're going to tap into 10 Years, One Summer by Payroll Giovanni. And we're just going to go through the lyrics. So the lyrics here are pretty straightforward, but a lot of it is going to pretty be challenging for artists that may be in the current situation that he's going to be describing. But it's going to be eye-opening for a lot of you lyricists, especially you lyricists that are trying to figure out what to talk about. So it's going to be a great topic and a great angle from how to, I guess you could say, avoid the pitfalls of being a hustler in a fast-paced lifestyle. So the song starts off with a hook, or kind of like an intro, and it says 10 years, one summer, is where he's a little bit of ad-libbing, right? And the hook goes, don't let the game take you under. It's really game, but the lyrics here wrote gang, but it's really game. Don't let the game take you under. Somebody got to tell you about this shit. Who better than me? So listen up. It's called the game for a reason. You got to know how to play it. You got to know how to sit down sometimes. Fuck thinking about that money. They ain't thinking about the risk. Listen to your gut, man. So it's a bit of a warning for whoever's, I guess, in this game that we're talking about. And the game we're going to be talking about is just, street hustling. It can be, things, it could be people, it can be drugs, whatever it is, right? Crime. And the reason why it's specifically that is because the risk that you're running is that you could wind up doing these things for a long time because, the nature of the game, right? You can't just go in there and get a big payout and then just exit. Usually you have to earn it, and it takes a lot of effort, which will wind up being a lot of your time. So the idea that you'll be spending 10 years of work just so you can be gratified by one summer of balling. And so there's a huge risk that comes with that, whereas you can ball, but you might not make it to the second summer. You might wind up in jail because now we know where you got all your money from, right? So you got to listen to your gut. But what does he mean by listen to your gut? So as we scroll down, we get into the first verse. And it says, you got to know when to hold 'em, fold 'em, and walk away. That's actually a classic song. You should definitely go check it out. It's something along the lines of this same theme, but it's a great classic song as well. But the next line says, listen to your gut. When it tell you not today. This for my niggas that chose the narcotics way. So, like we said, illicit drugs, right? I pray for each sale. You make it home safe. They get big boy money. Some niggas can't wait. So each sale that you make is dangerous, meaning, any interaction you have with, honestly, the public when it comes to narcotics could be a dangerous one. It's not like you're dealing with, upstanding citizens with high morality, right? And he then says, pray you make it home safe, right? And then they get big boy money. Some niggas can't wait. So when you start getting, of course, like thousands of dollars or whatever like that, and this is not even like just a drug thing. When people make a lot of money, there's usually something called lifestyle creep, where they'll begin to buy more things, spend more things, or just not even consider the budget that their money may need to maintain it. So that's what he means by some niggas can't wait. Most people will have discipline and patience issues when it comes to large amounts of income. And so the next line says, they jump in shit that ain't foreign, being what they ain't. Oh, okay. There's actually supposed to be two words here. They jump in, meaning they enter, shit that ain't foreign, being, or that ain't for them. This lyrics a little off. They jump in shit that ain't for them, being what they ain't. So a lot of people will wind up in situations that aren't really something that their character can maintain. So like trying to be a really cool boss guy, but you're really more of a worker. Trying to be a diva, but you're really a good girl, that kind of thing. And so you'll find out that it doesn't really fit you, but by then, you already have been exposed, or you have taken the bad consequences that come with, your character not meeting where you're supposed to be. And so the next line says, you ain't thinking about the risk, you thinking about bank. You ain't thinking about your life, you thinking about skanks. So this goes to the guys who were, so money hungry. They're not really worried about losing their life for money. So they'll rob a convenience store and not worried that the clerk has a gun. They'll, carjack somebody, not worried that there's a gun, or, break into somebody's house, or try to mug somebody and things like that. And then the next line is that you ain't thinking about your life, you thinking about skanks, meaning you're so worried that this girl is so hot that you want to have sex with her, not realizing that she has a disease, or realizing that she is not really respecting you. So a lot of the leverage you have is in her hands and she can use it against you. So it affects your life in a real manner. But if you're not thinking about that, it'll be a very, very, very big pitfall that you'll fall into. So the next line says, you want to hit the bar sipping on champagne, letting niggas know you got cocaine and holding things. You in love with the fame and the lifestyle. Like the feds ain't real, you better pipe down. So this is one of the first warnings here, where he says you hitting a bar sipping on champagne, letting niggas know you got cocaine and holding things. So because the money's making you feel good and champagne playing a role here, it's clouding your judgment, now you're talking about all the successes you have. And usually this comes with people who don't have a really discreet kind of characteristic about them or personality, because they typically like to gloat about the good things they're doing or the things they like. And so part of that is how you talk to people, what you're talking to them about, and then also the lifestyle you actually live. So suddenly you want to drive flashy cars and wear flashy clothes. People are going to have questions, or they're at least going to think something about that, right? And so that's where he warns about, like, the feds ain't real, you better pipe down. Now the feds are really just organizations that are supposed to keep people on their toes, ideally, but realistically what they're there to do is to kind of mitigate whether or not you're selling drugs to make money and not paying taxes on it. So if they see that this one guy is making loads of money all of a sudden, they're going to just ask questions, prod, and things like that, right? And that's all he's warning about. It says, shit, I was like that when I was young. Who am I to judge? But the goal is to get money and dodge a judge. They indicted my mans and cuz didn't budge. Just the shit we go through for a street buzz. So he actually has somebody in his life that actually got indicted. But the thing is that he's saying is you can make all the money, but you have to be smart. He's not necessarily saying go do drugs, but he's like, why would you go do, or not go do drugs, but go sell drugs? But he's saying, why would you go sell drugs if the end goal isn't to be free at the end of it all? So that's the thing he's suggesting here, is just to be smart about your decisions. So then the hook goes in, don't let the game take you under. 10 years worth more than one summer. 10 years just a ball one summer. I pray the game never take you under. And then the last and second verse here we have, where he essentially goes into more of a I guess you can say, upward turn of lifestyle here, where like, you're usually doing really good now. You're selling all your product and you're doing really good in the streets, right? So this is where he goes into that side of it. So he says, you're a drug dealer now, a big dope runner. All winter you've been plotting on a whole summer. Like, I'm gonna drop this whip for that bitch, cop this watch and this chain to flip more bricks. Talking like your phone can't get tapped. Moving sloppy like they can't sit and watch your whole trap. So we'll stop right there. Pretty much, he's suggesting what we've seen before is that now you're planning all these different things, just a ball for the summer and things like that. You've been hustling for suggestably 10 years now, probably like out of high school since then, right? And so now you're kind of like investing in what's going to happen in the summer, right? But not realizing that because of the very nature of what you're doing and probably who you've dealt with and all the other things you may have missed that are red flags for your lifestyle, you may not realize who's watching, which usually are the cops or someone snitching, or maybe you left a breadcrumb somewhere where you shouldn't have, and things like that, right? You got to be able to track all of that, right? And so he's suggesting here that your phone might get tapped, which could be how he's known people to get, taken down, or it could be a common thing for takedowns. And so the next line says, moving sloppy like they can't sit and watch your whole trap. Is you getting followed or you just tripping? Your gut told you yes, but you still went against it. Shit, you got a ball this summer for the bitches. In the press, a whole bunch of lame ass niggas. So you keep pumping, ain't shit gonna change. Well, that was until them fucking alphabets came. So we'll stop right here and we'll pretty much break down what he said. And so he's basically explaining how you can get caught. And he says, is you getting followed or is you just tripping? And he says, instead of following your gut, you went against it. So a lot of people will kind of understand the things that, are wrong, or maybe try to act like it's not a big deal. But in this instance, because you're not paying attention to these things and it's not the focus, instead your focus is, no, I want a ball next summer, or that girl's really pretty and I hope she likes me, ooh, I'm a hustler, and all these other silly things, right? Instead of focusing on the actual business, now you're missing the key things that will keep you free, which is avoiding the law in this instance. And so it ends with this. It says, now you fighting for your life, shit look trifling, feeling like you got gutted with a butcher knife. Think your shit wasn't worth getting took under, doing 10 years of prison, just a ball for one summer. And so this is really a good tale of minding your business. That's a great tale of this, because for a lot of us, when it comes to trying to do things we want to do and all this, tasks and goals and milestones, especially as musicians, we'll get hooked up on the glitz and the glamour and the awesome parts of it. So like, as a musician, it could be the girls, it could be the traveling, it could be the money, the products, and all these things like that. But in reality, you need to make sure your business is in order and you're protecting yourself. And that can be copyrights, that can be making sure your network is good with good people, and that can be something as like getting the metadata correct on your ASCAP and your catalog and things like that. All of these things help your product maintain value. So if this was great for you, make sure you hit that like button and hit the subscribe button so that way you can keep up with my latest videos. But this was a great breakdown of 10 Years, One Summer by Payroll Giovanni and Cardo Got Wings. And so I will see you guys next time on